Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And woo! Starlight will have to do one of those walk and talk videos. But for today, I love you all. And I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And make sure you let love guide you, not fear. It is so vitally important. I'm telling you, it's so vitally important. Because we create our reality. And if there's things going on and you are being afraid, you know, what you put out, you're going to get back, you know, so be careful. Starlight wants you to, you know, really, it's your thoughts and the things that you say, you know, be careful. Your words are very powerful and do not be afraid. Fear not. Fear not. So anyway, I love you so much. And thank you for all of you. Yes, all of you who have been here. Yes, you. You. I'm looking at you. Thank you for being here and love and support and Starlight. And anyone that has been here from the beginning all the way, maybe just recently, maybe I just met you today. You know, I met a lady today. Was it today or was it yesterday? Oh, it was yesterday. I met a lady yesterday. So, but right now she's got phone issues, so she might not be able to join me right away, but she's got my information. And her name actually starts with a P, and PAC, I think, which she said it stands for peace. I don't know if I got her name right, but it was so great meeting her. And if I've met you, thank you. It's been sweet meeting a lot of you out in person somewhere in the United States. So thank you for all of you here joining me and watching my videos and subscribing and giving me thumbs up, leaving me a comment, or even sharing my videos. Thank you. And if anyone would like to send any love donations, you can through my Cash App, and I will leave that information here. Ping! There it is. And also, some of you reached out to me saying, hey, I need some help. And if you know, have a question, maybe you can leave it on a video and say, you know, a question or something that kind of relates to what you need help with, because I might not be able to meet you in person because where I am. And, you know, you might be in a different location because Starlight doesn't stay in one place. So if there's something that you really are needing help with, leave a comment, you know, and leave something. Maybe, you know, you can make up something to just kind of explain what you're searching for, and I will do my very best to help you out. So don't be afraid, you know, even on Instagram, to leave any questions there or stop by and say hello. So anyway, now today is about, are you searching to get healed? You know, there's a lot of people, they want to get healed, but they don't know how. How do I heal myself, Starlight? So how do you get healed? And I'm going to do the best that I can do what I went through as far as getting healed. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to backtrack a little bit. And because I thought of this today is, I thought of this is, you know, if you're a person that went to church, you know, Starlight is not religious, I am spiritual, but with that being said, I do believe in God, and it's the creator, you know, God, not Satan, not the God of this world, but the creator. Some of you, I probably just lost some of you there. Where did they go? But yeah, not the God that, you know, the one that's running the world right now. No, that's Satan. But the creator, God, the creator, the almighty, the all-living God, you know, the most holiest God, you know, not Satan, okay? Leave Satan out of this for now. But if you have a church background like I do, is, you know what I learned? My experience was going to church, they have a different language than spirituality. People that are spiritual, and I've been learning about spirituality for a while, and I got so much to learn still. So anyway, a lot of what we've been told has been backwards, inside out, upside down, a freaking mess is what it's been. And that's how do you think Satan was going to do this? confuse people, get people all confused. And I'll tell you what, that's exactly what has happened, is people got confused and people blaming God for things that God didn't do that. So when it comes to going to church, I went there, did that, got the t-shirt, which I threw that, burnt it in a fire somewhere, is that is when I was going to church, I was being reprogrammed, how the church wanted me to be, what I was supposed to do, what I was supposed to wear, from one cult church to another cult church, dress codes, hey, you can't wear that here, So you got to really be careful with that stuff. Is, there's some churches, if they seen like a homeless person, they're going to find a way of getting that person out of the church. They don't even want those people in their church. Why not? So, so in church, when I went to church, it was teaching people about letting go of stuff, letting go of, Starlight used to party long time ago. I used to smoke marijuana, used to have my wine, used to have my music, fornication, believe me, when Starlight talked, I said all kinds of stuff backwards and said, they were controlling me on how to talk, it's like I was learning everything all over again. So, they were teaching in the Bible, like old things, like we're letting go of old things, and behold, you're becoming a new person. And you know what? I am free from going to church. That's not where God really wants me, because the way a lot of the churches are, and that's why I am where I am right now, is doing things the way this is where God has set me up. Am I perfect? Absolutely. Get out of here. I am not perfect. Are you? No, of course not. So it's okay that we don't have it all figured out. It's okay that, and this is what society has taught us, that, there's some people, they think they got it all figured out. I don't know nothing yet, really. When you think you know it all, you know what you're going to learn? You don't know nothing yet. So it's good to have that mindset, is I don't know nothing yet, because you think you might know something, and like we all been programmed to believe a certain thing, starting from your parents' school system, the churches, and it's all twisted and upside down, a freaking mess, because Satan is the God, small g, God of this world. So that is why everything is such a chaos, is, and then people want to blame Trump for, it's not Trump, So it all spirals, where it has nothing to do with Trump, even he's just a puppet. But what I learned is, I let go of smoking my marijuana. I let go of, fornicating. And then when everything went upside down in the church and I had to get the blink out of there because of the stuff that they were doing, I went right back and did all those things all over again. So I ended up going back and doing everything all over again. This is my point of actually making this video, is that spirituality is different. In the church, it was letting go of sin, but spirituality, it goes much deeper. I used to have my own cleaning business, and what it kind of reminds me of is, as far as going to church, it's like cleaning something but not doing deep cleaning, and that's why it can come back. That's why it came back for Starlight. But when you learn about spirituality, which when you go to church, most people were told meditation, you're not allowed, Starlight, you're not allowed to do meditation, you're not allowed to do crystals and all these things. What I knew before is crystals and stones are tools, because they have been taking their power away. And I don't go and use these things to put black magic and spells, to hurt people and all this. No, I'm going to just grab this. Now, your thoughts are very powerful. What you think is you can create your own reality. You can create all kinds of weird, crazy stuff out there if you believed it bad enough. Like this little pine cone, right? Now, I could say, if I carry this pine cone with me every day, it's going to keep me safe. I'm going to just carry this every day with me and I will be protected. Is that so bad? Because I believe that if I have this with me every day, I'm going to be protected. If I believe it, I am protected. And so like crystals and stones and all that stuff, it's no different. You know, each crystal or stone is, like you can have a stone to bring love in your life. Is that so bad? Crystals to protect your energy. Crystals to bring, money into your life or abundance in your life. So what's the difference if I'm praying about stuff, praying about, being financially free? And it helps us to actually, those are tools. Like this could be a tool, hey, if I bring this everywhere with me, or I can even say, hey, if I bring this, I'm just trying to see if there's something else I can use, but because I'm out in nature, like a 4-leaf clover. What's the difference? A 4-leaf clover, good luck, right? My mom used to actually have a necklace. I don't know, Starlight took off with that somewhere. It was a beautiful necklace with a 4-leaf clover in it, and it was protected with glass. I love that thing. I don't know what happened. I might have lost it outside somewhere. Oops. But, so those things are just tools that we can use. And so is it wicked if I'm just using it to protect myself? Or even, I did that with my grandson. I put one of my stones in his room to keep bad energy out of his room. It's in his window, so then that will always be activated, in his room, and so then bad energies will not be in his room. Because my grandson goes to public school, he's going to pick all kinds of stuff, or wherever they go, So being spiritual, what I've been learning is you don't just do one layer of cleaning something out of your life. It goes deep within inside you, and that is what I've learned through meditations, is that you can release it. Not just like, I don't have any dirty dishes, but, it would be like having a pan that you just got done cooking. We'll just say it's full of sauce, right? So like it's almost like you're just going to clean the outside of the pan, There you go, So when you're going to church, it's like cleaning, I'm letting go of this and I'm letting go of that. But it's not a deep cleansing. It's not really going deep enough, because we got to rethink, where did we all come from? We came from the Garden of Eden. That was all perfect. So we got so much cleaning to do. People that go to church, they think they're, hey, I'm fine. I got right with that and I got right with that. But it's inside your being. That stuff goes, because really it's about it's not this flesh here. It's not about this physical this avatar. It goes much deeper. It goes, this stuff has affected us in our skin, our bones, this is why a lot of people get sick, because they don't have their hearts right with God or other people, and because they don't take care of that stuff and they let it grow like a cancer, then they end up having horrible health problems. But the doctors aren't going to tell you this stuff. The doctors ain't going to tell you this stuff. No, they're not going to. Here, I got a medication for you. Where really, if they really were honest with you and said, you know what, the reason why these things are happening right now to you is because, those things, of course, they don't want to say any of that. They have ways that they can do that. Have you ever thought about meditating? Because, a lot of people, they have different beliefs, but if doctors were straight with their patients, How many patients do you think would really listen? Man, you gotta, we got this place you can go and learn how to meditate. Clear that stuff out of you. It goes in so deep inside of your being. This is why I've been able to purify myself. And it wasn't the stuff that I did when I was in church, letting go of stuff. Like I said, it came back. But of course, I got to protect myself, make sure I don't go. I can, just like clothes or dishes, they can get dirty again, when you use them, when you cook and, you go places and your clothes get dirty. Well, like I live in my car. So you know what I got to do with my clothes? I got to protect them from getting dirty. I don't even sit outside on a bench without putting my red blanket down first on the bench, and then I sit. Because I want to keep those clothes as clean as possible. I want to take good care of them. So just like your body, just like you, if you get all nice and cleaned up, you don't go to the barroom scene anymore, you don't smoke marijuana anymore, you gave up alcohol, you don't fornicate anymore, you stopped your lying. But then if you go back out in the world, and you go back and, hang out with the wrong kind of people that are listening to the wrong kind of music, that are smoking cigarettes, those things could put you right back where you came from and start all over again. That's why it's so important to protect your energy. And fear, this is another thing that most people don't understand. Fear, we, because of where we came from, in the Garden of Eden, we were afraid. We didn't even know what fear was. So there's so many different things that we are afraid of and that we're not even aware of. So Christianity, man, that scared the blank out of me. I don't even know what that noise was. But going to church, they call that sin, letting go of sin. But with spirituality, it's shadows, facing your shadows, facing things that you're afraid of, we all have gone through relationships. At least most of these people, I would believe that you've gone in a relationship. Well, when you're in that relationship, guess what? We get dirty. We get dirty. We pick all kinds of shit from other people all the time. Our family, our mom or dad, if they're living an unrighteous life, if they're lying, if they're stealing, we're picking that up and we're getting ourselves all dirty. And all that stuff goes deep within us, because this is just a shell, but it's, your spirit. So that it's so important, if you want to get healed, is meditations. I actually, the best way is if you have money to go out, and you don't have to always pay. Sometimes you can go right on Facebook and they have free meditation. You can go somewhere and learn how to meditate, and you will be amazed. But see, everything has been twisted upside down backwards, that people think, oh, that's of the devil, Starlight. I can't do that. See, that's how the program is. You think Satan had it set up so then, everything at church is exactly the way No. A lot of things that the people said at the church, I'm finding out for a living, like my own being, how great I feel. I'm not out there fornicating. I'm not out there lying. I don't need to go to church to have a relationship with God. I'm sorry about that noise. I'm gonna just... sounds like putting the brakes on. So fear, like I was saying, is that there's so many things that we're not aware of. Is that a lot? I'm not going to put myself into this. Is that a lot of people, they fear all kinds of stuff, but they're not even aware of it. And so those fears are blocking things to flow into your life. When we're afraid all the time, and when you're around other people and they're afraid, and now you're spending time with them, guess what? it's like a fear virus, right? If you're spending time with somebody that's always afraid, they're, no matter who you're spending time with. Like today, I went to the beach. You know what? I couldn't wait to get out of there. I was around a group of people, and it was one complaint story after another, and after, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I don't want to be around all this stuff. There is no positivity, no inspiration, it's just all hogwash stuff. And it's like, you know what? Because the beach was crowded, there's so many people. I need to find a beach where it's not that many people. It was just that crowded. Like it was hard to even find a seating spot, because lots of people, even to find a parking spot. But you gotta let go of fear, and you gotta face your what you're afraid of. And that is a part of healing, is when you face, you're not afraid to speak up. You're not afraid to leave a comment on my, there's people they want to leave a comment on my YouTube channel, but they're afraid. They want to do that, but they're afraid. They want to do this over there, but they're afraid. They want to try that, but they're afraid. They want to go out and hike, and they're afraid. They want to tell somebody exactly how they feel, they're afraid. These are things that you need to heal. The church doesn't tell you this shit. I had to learn this on my own with the help of my mentor. The videos that, and I had to learn, like, oh my, we got so much healing to do. Things that you went through as a child. Yeah, you got to heal from that stuff. Being called names when you were a kid. Being beat up by your brother or your sister or your parents. Those are things that all need, any bad thing that ever happened to you, guess what? Those are things that need to get healed. Or if you did something to yourself that wasn't, like Starlight. I was always trying to end my life at the age of 10 and up, I had to heal from all that stuff. I had to face that part of me and say, why did I do this to my, why was I, I tell you what, I could say I had plenty of reasons, really. But it doesn't matter of all the reasons I had why I wanted to end my life. It's that I gotta love myself. I gotta, no matter what happened in my past, there's a part of me that was hurting, of course, that went through hell as a child. I had to love that part of me, even though that part of me went through hell. But I wasn't. I didn't understand. So there's a lot of hurting people out there that they don't realize how much healing you really need. It's not a quick fix like at the church. It's not. See, that's only going to get you so far. They're not going to teach all this stuff in spirituality about facing your fears and all the different levels of fear. Being afraid to go to a park, oh, I don't know the people. Being afraid to go to a restaurant by yourself. Oh, I don't want to go there by myself. Being afraid to go to a party with your family. Being afraid to drive a car, ride a bike. Being afraid to go swimming, go hiking. Afraid of animals, afraid of bugs, We didn't have this in the Garden of Eden. This all happened after. So there's a lot of things that need to get healed. If you're just going to church and say, hey, I'm good, I got it all fit, I don't fornicate, I don't go to the bar anymore, I stopped my, there's layers of lying. There's layers of fornication. There's all kinds of lust, looking at girls, and desiring, what are you desiring to do? Guys, girls, like desiring, you see them, but, it's not of purity, it's not like of love, it's lust. There's so many levels, what you watch on TV, what you listen to, there's so many layers, and it goes deep, 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 So those are ways, meditation, you can have meditations to clear out negativity, meditations to clear out traumas from childhood, meditations to clear out all kinds, you name it, it's, sexual energy from exes. Wow. Imagine all the exes that you've been with. Guess what? A part of them is inside of you somewhere. Through your skin, your bones, your cells. And when we had the more negativity that we hold inside of us, then we wonder why, we could get sick. Worrying. Are you worrying all the time? Because that's another thing that needs to, and there's levels to worrying. Worrying about this, worrying about that, fearing about this, fearing about that, not trusting in God. That's why all these things, and the more that we're around the wrong kind of people, it gets worse. We can get worse. And the things that you think of, because you might think you're fine, but God knows the deepness of your thoughts and the things that you say and the things that you speak. How about pretending? How about pretending and putting the mask on everywhere and acting like, just faking it? That's a part that you gotta let go of that stuff. You can't pretend anymore. When you go to the spirituality, it's a deep cleansing. And that's why, Satan didn't want you to get cleansed. Satan didn't want you to get healed. That's why, even being, believing everything that people tell you, when you went to church, oh, don't meditate. No, you can't do yoga. So you got to really be careful who you listen to. And, that it made no sense. I am amazed how wonderful I feel because I'm getting cleansed and clearing out stuff deep within me, and it feels amazing. Letting go of guilt. They don't teach all this stuff in the church. That's why church is only going to get you so far. That's why God pulled me out. God knew my heart was so pure about wanting to live for God, but the church was tripping me up. Everybody else was going out to the world. Everybody else was, they wanted to bring kids to the church, but they had to do it the way that, they're like, how can we get these kids to come to the church when the world out there is doing this and this and that? So then they said, hey, we got to be like the world in order to get them in it. Now now the church is corrupt, or it died. Not trusting that God will bring in not trusting that God's going to bring the people in the church. If they just trusted in God, they wouldn't have to be like the world in order to bring the kids in. Hey, what can we do to entice these kids to bring them in? So then they, we can get, and it shouldn't even be about money, wanting the kids to get their money from the parents. It should be like our hearts are right. The only reason why we want these kids is we want to help them. So later on, it has nothing to do with money. It's about service. That's what it's about. It's not, hey, we want you to come in our church. Should be no strings fucking tied. No strings attached. I want to help you out, period. With no strings. No strings. Cut all the strings. Trusting that God's going to bring the people in and the money will flow without even thinking about the money. But that's why a lot of churches are corrupt, is because they're thinking about the money. They want to take, not trust that God's going to take care of everything. If they just feared God and trusted that God, I don't even know about fearing God, because see, everything has been such a twist, is trusting in God that God's going to, bring the right people in the church building. If people just had their hearts right with God and not just want people's money, everything would flow naturally. And that, it's that people, how are we going to get this paid for? We got this building, we need money, and now we're going to just bend and do things, like the world, just to get all these kids, to get the parents. And so when you help somebody out, it's got to be, I want to help them without them giving me anything back. And that's what it's about. It's not, hey, I'm going to do this, now what are you going to do? Because there's a lot of places out there. I met them all around all United States, having a food pantry. Hey, there's certain things they can do. They can invite people at the church if they want to, but you know what? I've gone to places that they wanted you to be in the church service in order to get the help. Let the people, be kind to them, because not everybody wants to jump into a building after they've gone to cult churches like I have. Be the example, serve the people. If they want to, you can let them know, hey, if you want to go to church, we're open, but they don't need to hear that every time they go in there to go get food. You can have an advertisement somewhere and say, hey, we got church services there. Or you know what? If you really want to just trust in God, if they really want to go, they will ask you, hey, do you got, when is your church? Like you guys been really good to me. But see, that's not a way a lot of churches are out there. So deep healing, really, it's a lot. It's a lot more than you think. It's not just what the churches, it's a scratch. It's like, man, I'll tell you what, all the healing that you need to do and work on as far as getting right with God, it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. Clearing energy, sexual energy from all the partners that you've been with, whether you were in love with them or not. Holy cow. You know how far those, So going to church is, I would say, it's a really small little space that actually, and it's not a deep healing at all. So deep healing is clearing it all, it's a lot. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, give me a thumbs up. And you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. Plus, you could share my videos with your family or friends. And don't forget the notification bell. And check out my playlist. And you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman, Starlight. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.